All right, it's Friday. I'm Andrew Badalla. That is Blake Mitchmore. This is FBM Live, where we're going to discuss everything MMA, WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Whatever you guys girls want to talk about, we'll talk about it right here live on FBM Live. Blake, it's a Friday afternoon. WWE just wrapped up their kickoff show in Scotland. The crowd was hot. But how are you doing on this glorious Friday afternoon?
Shocker, an international crowd was wild. That hasn't happened lately for them. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. That business model caught me off guard. I didn't think you were going to ask me a question, but that business model that WWE is doing is smart, is it not? International, then states?
Seems to be working a little bit.
Seems to be working just like my espresso is working. I am jacked to the gills here to do FBM Live with all of you guys and girls, and especially my buddy Blake. But let's kick this off with something that I'm not excited about. All right. And that's Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is out of UFC 303. It was going to take place the night before Forbidden Door on Long Island for AEW. That fight was scheduled to take place, the UFC one, in Vegas. I said 9 days ago, something stunk. I always tell you guys and girls to follow the money. When Conor pulled out of the press conference in Ireland, you knew something was seriously up. And then all of a sudden, the promotion started to trickle out. And then you tried to buy the pay-per-view for 2 hours and you couldn't on ESPN Plus. Now, there could have been site maintenance. I'm not going to correlate that to what was going on. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And McGregor pulling out of the press conference is a bad, bad sign. He's officially out now. They have replacements. But, I mean, it's not a McGregor fight, Blake. Right. What does this mean for UFC? I mean, it's not good.
I mean, it's not good because Conor's their one guy that has mainstream appeal, but UFC's a lot like WWE. Like, I couldn't tell you probably 5 guys that are fighting for them right now, but I do see full crowds every time they have an event, so the machine keeps rolling. So I don't think it truly hurts UFC other than maybe a little mainstream appeal because Conor would be back. But, you know, honestly, Conor's MMA career has been done since he fought Floyd Mayweather.
Well,
he's fought a couple times,
and then he broke his leg.
Yeah. But he's fought a couple times since then. But when you have 9 figures in the bank, and then, you know, once he got proper 12 going and made even more money, that desire, you know, MMA and combat sports is a grind. It is. Train. You have to be the tip-top shape. You have to be the best, you know, shape you can possibly be 24/7. When you're not fighting for money, I mean, yes, Conor was going to get paid, but he's going to get paid pennies compared to what he already has. That desire, to grind isn't there for Conor anymore.
I don't know the deal that Conor has with, Zuffa and TKO and the UFC. I have no idea what his, net or what his purse would be. I don't think Conor's one of those guys who gets a larger amount if he wins the fight. I think his pre-fight guarantee is his pre-fight guarantee, and that's it. Conor is, certainly past that. He's worked his ass off to get there, and he is an entrepreneur. But at the end of the day, UFC and the machine keeps rolling, just like Blake said, and just like WWE does. It's next man up, just like in football. You get hurt, next man up. They have adopted that mentality, but I will say this is going to hurt the pay-per-view buy rate for this, which is something that ESPN and UFC have really, hung their hat on. They do really well in the pay-per-view game, but we need Conor back in the octagon. I know a lot of people will switch over to wrestling now. Again, bummed that Conor's not fighting on Saturday before Forbidden Door. It would have been great to be on Long Island and have that fight to watch. The pay-per-view is still going to be okay. I'll watch it, but it's not a McGregor fight. Moving aside from that, a lot of people have wanted to see Conor transition into professional wrestling. This is something I don't see ever happening in terms of Conor actually getting into the ring and getting physical. Could Conor make appearances on WWE TV? Absolutely. Could he be a manager or a special guest referee for something? Absolutely. But you're not going to see a Floyd Mayweather Big Show match with Conor McGregor. I'm not saying WWE won't try and exploit that. I just don't know if Conor's going to do it.
I don't know if he's going to do it, but I think it's a lot more plausible than you make it out to be. Conor, Floyd is 5'6", 140 pounds. Conor probably walks around at 185 or 190 pounds when he's not training for a fight. So Conor would aesthetically look a lot different than Floyd did in a WWE match. But there again, it's the same principle as we just talked about with MMA. Is there a dollar figure that WWE is willing to put in front of Conor that would make Conor want to train enough to not look like a moron in the ring and not hurt himself.
It's interesting you bring that up because I wonder who the contract is through. Is it through Zuffa Inc. or is it through TKO Endeavor? You know, that's the whole thing, because it seems to me like we don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but if Conor was going to say, let's just use a figure for an example. Conor was going to make $5 million for this UFC fight on Saturday. He's hurt. He's injured. Conor, they could say, hey, Conor, listen, we'll pay you 2.5. Go be a manager at SummerSlam. And he still can get half of his purse. And that there's ways to do this.
He doesn't need his purse. That's the problem.
No, he definitely doesn't. He's a fight addict, just like most of these UFC and MMA fighters are. They're fight addicts and they love the grind. And we wish Conor the best and hope to see him back in the octagon soon, because he's a major draw and he's a hell of a promoter. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Conor is a mastermind on the mic and can talk anybody in and sometimes out of a building, but that's the art of the promo. Let's move over to some free agent news, Blake. I put out a video short, so I'm not going to, talk too much about this. I said that Chad Gable is not going anywhere. I said he has a match at Clash at the Castle, which we'll get into our predictions later on in the show. But I said all the rumor of Gable not resigning, guys. It's re-signing with WWE, I think is out the window. Okay. I gave my reasons on the video. He's in a major match at Clash. They're in a major program. He has a ton of TV time, which is equity in WWE that they have given him. I just don't see WWE allowing him to just slip through the cracks. I think he's already re-signed. Blake?
Yeah, I don't think Chad's going anywhere. I mean, we've talked about this privately, and I'll say, if you look at what WWE is right now, if you are a performer in your prime like Chad is, that is on the come up, let's say, with where WWE is right now and where AEW is right now, it doesn't make sense for me, if you have that equity on TV, to go to AEW right now, unless the money is just so much you can't pass it up, because you're going to be a bigger star in WWE right now. That might not always be the case, but right now it is. So unless I am a, older talent like an Edge or Adam Copeland, one of those guys that have gone over to AEW, I just don't think it's the smartest decision for Chad. And I can't imagine that Chad is on a featured match at an international PLE unless he's under a deal.
You know what? I think that's a really good point. And I think Jay said this too. I agree with everything you just said. Jay said, nah, Chad is heavily featured at WWE at the moment. Anybody in that position wouldn't leave. And he also says, but he could use AEW's interest at 100%. Leverage.
He's correct there.
We are a very interactive show. If you have a question or comment, throw it up. I am going to put it up there and we'll talk about it. We'll debate it. That's what FBM Live is all about. Blake, every boy and girl in the locker room, every man and woman in that locker room, whether it be you're in WWE's locker room or AEW's locker room, should 100% see what free agency is like and see what the other company's interest is and what they're offering financial wise. Now, you might get into a situation where WWE's like, listen, we're not going to offer you what AEW is going to offer you financially wise, right, but we could offer you other things. And to your point, why would you go there? First of all, Chad Gable would fit the AEW mold. He is a wrestling machine. He's shredded. I could easily see him having great matches with Okada, Ospreay, Jack Perry. There's a lot of other guys that I didn't mention that you could easily have great matches with in All Elite Wrestling, Moxley, et cetera. But Chad Gable has had a ton of television time on WWE. And realistically, if it's me, I maybe sign a short-term extension, a year, 2 years, and I let them see what they do with me, because there's a ton of interest and a ton of fan engagement with Chad Gable right now and that Intercontinental Championship and the implosion of the Alpha Academy.
Yeah, no, I agree. He shouldn't go anywhere.
Let's talk about somebody who seems to be out the door. That's the rumor, is Ricochet. WWE wrote off Ricochet, quote unquote. Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp reported that this was the way to get Ricochet off of television, and it seemed that way. He was taken out in an ambulance. They shut the door. Is it his wife or his girlfriend? I don't want to misspeak.
I don't know, to be
all right. His significant other.
I don't know.
Yeah. His significant other, Samantha Irving, joined him in the ambulance, him being Ricochet. I saw this as two things. One, which is the biggest, this is the way they're writing him off television because he hasn't re-signed with WWE. And this is basically them saying, hey, if you want to come back, here's the other part. Here's the second. This is also a way that they could reintroduce Ricochet in a month or a month and a half from now if he does choose to resign. So basically what Triple H did and the booking committee did here was, we're not going to take the old approach of bury you beyond belief until you sign your contract here. What we'll do is we'll write you off in a way that you got your ass kicked, but you're also not buried, quote unquote, which means you're not basically dead in the water if you do choose to return. What do you think? I think he's going to AEW. I think he'll end up wrestling on All In Wembley Stadium. I think he's out of WWE, and WWE does not need Ricochet, and a change of scenery for Ricochet will do him very well.
I think most likely he goes to AEW. He fits over there. You know, to be a top guy in WWE, you have to be able to go out and cut that 15-minute promo to open Raw. And that's just not a strong suit of Ricochet's. He's gotten a lot better on the mic since he's been in WWE, but it's still just not a strong suit. In AEW, you can just be a fantastic wrestler. You don't have to be, talk you into the building. And you have to be able to talk people into the building to be a top guy in WWE. I do think you're dead on with exactly what you said about what they did Monday night. Nobody knows this to be 100% fact, but rumors are that his contract expires sometime in July. They have a few weeks to keep talking. He technically can't talk to Tony or AEW until his contract's up. So, like you said, maybe you can strike a last-minute deal and then he comes back in as a continuation of this Braun Breaker angle, or he's dead and he's gone.
Yeah. And Jay says, we'd love to see Ricochet outside of the WWE umbrella. I agree. To Blake's point and to what I said before, Ricochet, this would do him wonders. Realistically, he was the Speed Champion, which is a show only on X. And a lot of people are like, well, how come we don't ever see the Speed Championship on WWE TV? I mean, X paid a boatload of money for WWE to have that exclusivity contract with it's only on X. So maybe that's part of the deal. And realistically, the less titles you put on television, the less confusion you would have, with the fans. So I'm okay with it. And it's an exclusive property of X. But Ricochet really isn't doing anything noteworthy here in WWE. He could go over to AEW or New Japan or even work Ring of Honor or AAA or wherever. And
come on.
What?
Don't put him in Ring of Honor where 97 people watch him on.
I mean, Jericho worked. I'm just saying, I'm with you. I'm just saying, but this could do something for Ricochet to where I correlate it to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre went away, came back, and now he's main eventing a PLE and won a championship at WrestleMania, a major one. I mean, this could do Ricochet some wonders in terms of not being a part of WWE for a little bit and then coming back and making everybody remember who the hell he is. Again, you say Ricochet can't cut a promo. We haven't seen it a lot in WWE.
I didn't say he can't. I said it's not a strong suit.
Okay. Stand corrected, or I sit corrected. Not a strong suit. I do believe that if given the opportunity, he can. We'll have to wait and see what happens, because other times he's cut good promos when it's a taped
and I want to be clear. There's a big difference between being able to cut a promo and being able to cut that open the show promo that the top guys in WWE have to cut.
Very well said. And he also a live promo. Hey, we're not taping this, bud. You got to just go. I agree.
Big difference.
I agree. This is not really a free agent, but we're going to talk about it just yet. And that's Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace had a hell of a showing on NXT Battleground. The match should have main evented. You can miss me with all the Ethan Page and Trick Williams stuff. It wasn't a bad match from Ethan Page and Trick Williams. They worked. Trick retained the championship, but the match, in my opinion, everybody wanted to see and was the better match was the women's championship match. Okay. Between Roxanne and Jordan. Jordan will be a free agent in 2025. And for me, all signs point to WWE. This is the easiest one out of the bunch. I think she forgoes the NXT experience because she's already gotten it now and she heads straight to the main roster. Blake?
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. I mean, it feels like Jordan made a real impression back in January when she was on the Royal Rumble. And so now they have followed through on this crossover angle, essentially to get Jordan in the building and show her, hey, this might be what it's like if you come over here whenever you're free and able to talk. And I mean, realistically, she's done everything she can do in TNA over the last few years, and she fits like with her, being a little more built and being more of a specimen and more of a, when you turn on the TV, you go, oh shit, who's that? She fits more in WWE than she does in AEW right now, in my opinion.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Stephen Caston says, "What's up, boys? Happy Friday." Happy Friday, Stephen. Let's talk about something that was making the news and notes. We're kind of out of the contract debate here for a little bit. Maybe we'll jump back into it. But let's talk about something that I thought was interesting, to say the least. On AEW Dynamite, we had a segment where, and we'll switch over to AEW here for a little bit. We had a segment where Swerve Strickland, this is how they went off the air. Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay in the main event. Will Ospreay grabbed Swerve Strickland's WWE or AEW World Heavyweight Championship and put it over his shoulder. And a lot of people said that it made Swerve look weak and they didn't like it. I just think that those are haters, in my opinion. I thought the segment came off very well. Swerve and Will are friends, and I think that visual sold a lot of people on Forbidden Door. So let's talk about the ending of AEW Dynamite. For you, Blake, did you have a problem with the segment, and what did you think of Swerve and Will having that interaction? And Swerve did say, "You're lucky you're my friend, otherwise I would basically kill you."
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest, like people that watched this last week know I'm not the biggest. I'm not a fan, but I'm not the biggest fan of what AEW is doing in totality right now. But this didn't bother me at all. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it made Swerve look bad. I really didn't think much of it at all, to be honest with you. I just thought it was a decent end to a segment. And yeah, like you said, Swerve covered it up by saying, "Hey, you're lucky I like you." And it gave you that shot that everybody feels like is coming, which is Will's going to be the champ sooner than later, and it gave you that shot of what it could look like. So,
All right.
I didn't have any problem with it at all.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want to thank the over 300 people that are in here watching us on a Friday afternoon. We always appreciate it. Thank you for watching FBM Live. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Hit that notification bell so you get notified when we go live. I'm glad you brought that up. Everybody says that Will Ospreay is winning the championship, the AEW World Championship at Wembley Stadium and All In. I don't see that. I don't. I think it would be a smart idea to capitalize on one of your major talents that is UK born and UK raised. But the problem there is that it's, for me, while I'm not going to sit here and tell you I would hate it, because I wouldn't, I just think it's a lot very, very soon for Will. And you could, because you could do it and then maximize the return for a year or whatever. But for me, I don't want you to put the championship on Will and then take it off 4 months later. And that's the thing. When Will wins it, I'd like for Will to have a year-long reign. Kind of like what Shawn Michaels did when he won the championship in 96 at WrestleMania. It wasn't a full year, but we got damn near close. Shawn won it at Mania, went all the way to Survivor Series at the Garden against Sid, lost, and then regained it at the Rumble at the Alamo Dome, which was fine. That's where Shawn was from. Made a lot of sense. And it put asses in the seats because they wanted to see the hometown kid regain his championship. If you put the championship on Will at Wembley Stadium and All In, I want him to hold it until Wembley Stadium and All In next year. And I just don't know if that's the right call right now. Blake?
Yeah, so I've been in that camp of thinking that most likely Will does win at Wembley. But, there's been some variables lately that make it not a certainty in my eyes. You've got Max coming back, obviously. I don't think you're not putting Max in the title picture right now, but Max is your guy, so I don't think you can keep Max out of there for very long. And then obviously there's the specter of Bryan Danielson. I could very well see Bryan Danielson winning this Owen Hart tournament, winning the world title at Wembley, and then losing it the next month in Seattle, which might be his retirement match.
I like that.
So I don't think Will winning is a foregone conclusion anymore. Do I think it's still possible? Yes, because if you follow AEW and you look at the way Tony has booked a lot of stuff, he doesn't do the old Vince McMahon method of if you're in your hometown, you're looking at the lights. Tony usually puts the hometown people over. So
and WWE's gotten away with that too. They really have.
I still think it's possible, but there's definitely some variables now that make it not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I like the idea of Danielson wrestling at Wrestle Dream as the AEW world champion and losing, going out on the sword and doing right by the business, which a lot of men and women have done. It was not Sting's call to not lose his final match, but he didn't. I think it worked. Even though I was against it, I think it worked. I'm sure Steve Borden Sting was against it as well, but it did work. Kudos to Tony Khan and AEW for doing that the way that they did. But I like the idea. I think Danielson and Swerve sells a lot of tickets in Wembley. Wembley's pretty much sold, but I think that would help. Also, depending on Will's opponent, we know Adam Copeland's not going to be there, but there's a lot of variables that could factor into who's wrestling who at Wembley.
If Will's not fighting for the title and Ricochet's in AEW by August,
that match is happening. Yeah,
Will's fighting Ricochet at Wembley.
Yeah. You brought up the Danielson fighting at Wrestle Dream for the World Championship. I don't hate it. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion either that Will is winning the championship at Wembley Stadium at All In. I will tell you this much. I don't think Will is winning the championship at Forbidden Door either. I think this championship stays on Swerve till at least All In, and then all bets are off depending on his opponent. Blake says it's going to be Bryan Danielson. I could see it. I could even seeing it being MJF. Truthfully,
I didn't say for sure. Honestly, I think it's really split evenly at three. You got three options. It depends on where they go right now. I don't know that any of them is necessarily a favorite. I just think that's the three options that are on the table for Wembley.
Who would you have Danielson's final opponent be? I know this is we didn't talk about this, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but this is the beauty of this show. Who do you think Danielson's final opponent could be at Wrestle Dream? If he is defending the world championship, he would lose. So who's it going to be to?
I would probably, if Max doesn't win in August, probably Max, because he's the guy.
Yeah, I agree. That was my pick. If you're going to have Danielson defend the championship and he's going to lose it and go out on the sword, what better thing to put on MJF's resume? And he could also have promo after promo after promo about it after he wins the championship.
Fired Bryan Danielson.
And don't forget, that's Will Ospreay's favorite wrestler. You know, he idolized him, all this other stuff. That's a tailor-made feud right there, MJF and Will, and they can go off to the races with it. Jay says, and I don't know this to be fact, but Jay says Ospreay isn't a part of the Owen, so he won't be challenging for the world title at Wembley. He'll need to win it at Forbidden Door. Jay, I don't know if that's accurate yet. I don't think the Ospreay will...
I mean, he's not a part of it as of right now, but they've only announced half the field, so he still could be.
Yeah, I think the Owen doesn't start until after Forbidden Door anyway, so he could absolutely be a part of it. I just don't know. Yeah. You know, I don't know.
I mean, to my knowledge, they've announced Brian, Shingo, Takagi, and one other and Pat, and that's it. Out of an 8-man field, they've announced 3 people, so they still have 5 more to announce.
The women's field is loaded, and I'm really looking forward to it. Everyone was talking about Natalya and her possibly entering it. Obviously, that is rumor and innuendo. I would love to see Natty in that just because it's the Owen. There's a lot of stuff there that she could do. And realistically, she doesn't have to sign a long-term contract with All Elite Wrestling, although I'm sure Tony Khan and AEW would love to have that. But she could come in there, work the tournament, maybe work Wembley, and then, you know, go back to doing whatever she wants to do. And I think if that's possible, I would love to see Natty Neidhart in that.
I think it would be cool if she's in it, but I just don't. She just seems like a WWE lifer to me.
Yeah. Again, love me some Natty. Let's talk about something we saw that I think should be the case regarding the Elite and this Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts was announced for Nashville, the Bridgestone Arena, which is a big building, that they will have their Blood and Guts there. AEW will. A lot of people were like, why Nashville? Why did they select that date? Well, if they're going to the Bridgestone Arena and they already have it on their books, this is a smart way to sell more tickets because realistically, that is an 18,000 seat building. Now, again, with the stage and the double rings and the double cages for the Blood and Guts, it's not going to sit 18,000, but it's going to sit over 10. Okay. So they are going to need to sell tickets. The Elite asked Swerve. Swerve said no to be their 5th man for Blood and Guts. I put this out on social media. I would love to see the Elite continually try and find somebody to be their 5th man for the next 4 to 5 weeks, however long it takes to get to Blood and Guts, and they can't find anybody. I think Will Ospreay and Swerve should be a part of the Blood and Guts team for Team AEW, and you turn one of them for me that night and join the Elite. And for me, it's Will Ospreay. That's what I would do. I don't know who's going to be all involved. We know the Elite is going to be involved. We don't know the full 5-on-5. But if it's me, I have Swerve and Will Ospreay on Team AEW, and one of them turns and becomes the Elite's fifth man towards the end of the match. And for me, that man is Will Ospreay. I'd love to see a heel Will Ospreay. What do you think, Blake?
So I think the idea in general is good of the who's the fifth man, kind of like the NWO back in the day. But my fear with that and fear with AEW is execution. You can't do who's the fifth man and then it turns out to be, as I've got a fire alarm.
Turns out to be Kane.
Yeah. I mean, there's something that this is going to be annoying. Hopefully this doesn't last long. It turns out to be Kane or it turns out to be a flop. It's got to be somebody big, whether that's somebody that comes in or Jesus Christ. Is that really loud?
It's loud. I'll mute you for a minute here.
All right, do that.
Listen, I think that, again, it's easy for AEW to continually do the storyline progression where you have somebody, the Elite, trying to find the fifth man. I hear you with the execution. I think Will Ospreay right now, so I love Swerve as a heel. I'm not really a big fan of the Swerve face champion, but I understand why they're doing it. But at Forbidden Door right now, they're having two faces, quote unquote, going against each other, which really doesn't happen a ton here in AEW. So I would like to see AEW turn one of these men full on heel. And for me, it's Will Ospreay. Who's burning the house down?
I don't know. Somebody is. I'm so disoriented now. And see, to me, out of the two, I think it's the opposite. I would go Swerve all day because what you said, Swerve's way better as a heel. Swerve is, this babyface run just isn't. He's trying hard. I give him all the credit in the world, but it's just not working for me.
No.
And I think Will's got something. Will's got something with baby, like Will's got the crowd reactions.
Yeah.
Will's got the feel right now. So I don't turn Will. If I'm turning, somebody needs to turn in this blood and guts match. If it's not Swerve and Will, then it needs to be somebody like maybe a Hangman Page that comes back on Team AEW and then turns or something. But we have to have, the thing I need most out of blood and guts is you have to have the fifth member of the Elite.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I would like to see happen. I love Hangman's involvement. I would love to see him back. So that works for me. But again, I just, this is a way to get Will away from the Don Callis family too, because he really hasn't separated himself from that fully yet. He's still kind of in there. He doesn't really, but it's time for Will to go off and do his own thing, in my opinion. And I would like to see Will as a heel. It also helps because really, is MJF a heel? If you go look at this AEW roster, right? There's not a lot of heels. There's really not.
I need a top heel bad.
There's really not a true heel. Like Cole is a heel, but Cole's not on television.
Cole's
the undisputed. Right. I mean, we don't know where Adam is, but Swerve is really not a heel. Will's not a heel. Danielson's not a heel. Moxley's not a heel. I mean, Joe's not a heel. There's a lot of faces or tweeners here, but I would like to see one of them turn full on heel. The Elite and Okada and Perry are absolute heels, but realistically,
that's your top. I mean, realistically, your top two singles heels on the show right now are Okada and Jack Perry.
But neither of them, none of them are main eventing for the world championship. That's the problem.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
I mean, so I agree with you. I just disagree on who needs to turn. I think they've got something with Will as a babyface right now, and I think they need to ride it out because what AEW desperately needs is somebody that will catch fire with the fans, and Will is the closest thing they've had to that. Since Swerve was a heel and they botched it by turning him hardworking babyface.
Yeah.
So I would turn Swerve right now because I think Swerve has shown he thrives as a heel. Will is thriving right now as a babyface. And I think Will could be the guy along with Max to help you sell tickets that can catch fans. And no, it's not Brian K. jealous.
Christian Cage is definitely one of their biggest heels. Steven said he's 100% right. Christian Cage. But the problem with Christian Cage right now is he just lost a match to Swerve. So he's not in the main event picture, although he wants one. But I agree with you. Will Ospreay has something with the crowd that we haven't seen for a while. But I will say this, especially in AEW, I will say this. Tony did a fantastic job with Okada because he said that I think Okada would be a great heel in America. And nobody saw it, in my opinion, besides the Bucks and Tony. And man, has Okada been a really good heel in AEW. Telling people to shut up, bitches.
Oh, Okada's honestly, Okada might be my favorite character on AEW right now. And it's simply because of that. I don't care. Yeah. It's stupid but it pops me every week when he comes out and says, shut up, bitch.
It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm right there with you. Let's talk about something else that happened on Dynamite. This is part of our show here on FBM Live. We do a Dynamite review. Blake is not your prototypical AEW fan where he just loves everything that they do. Like a lot of people on social media, he'll give you honest critiques, and it's a good back and forth, so that's why we save it for Fridays. So let's do this. MJF and Roosh. Blake, last week I said I didn't want to see this at Forbidden Door, and it doesn't seem as of now we're getting it at the Forbidden Door. It could happen, but MJF and Roosh have another pull apart, another brawl, ends up backstage. MJF says he's higher than a giraffe's you know what on social media. Roosh answers back, and now we have a match set to open Dynamite next week. I love it. I do believe this is going to bleed into the Forbidden Door, but they have made me invested, and that's all you could ask for in this match and the potential rematch that's going to happen at Forbidden Door, maybe with a stipulation on Long Island, because of what they've done storyline-wise. Because realistically, this is a good opponent for Max to come back on, and it makes Roosh look like he is elevated and should be at this next level, which is very interesting for AEW going forward. What do you think of the Max Roosh stuff this past week?
I thought it was really good. I think this is some of the best stuff they've done in a long time, to be honest. Shocker, something that Max is in is good. But I think they've done a good job over the last couple of weeks of elevating Roosh between the pull-apart brawls, and then they did something Wednesday that they don't do, and it's something that drives me fucking nuts about AEW is there's no sort of enhancement matches ever. It's all 20-minute back and forth, wrestling classics. How's somebody like Roosh, who, like I said last week, he's a great wrestler, but for a lot of his run in AEW, he's been treated like a jabroni. Mm-hmm. So how are you supposed to convince me that Roosh is now a badass that can hang with Max? Have him run through somebody in 3 minutes. So I thought that was great because, watching it, I thought, Roosh kind of looks like a badass here.
All right. So it worked for you.
Yes. And it's something I think they need to, there's a line. Obviously, you can't have 4 squash matches on a show every week, but I think it's something they need to utilize more. Prime example for me. Swerve's first match after he won the world title was against Kyle Fletcher. I know Kyle Fletcher's in the Don Callis family. I know, but Kyle Fletcher is a dude that's on Honor Club most of the time. Yeah. He's not. And they had a 20-minute banger. Swerve could have came out. Kyle could have got some shit in, but Swerve could have came out and could have ran through him in like 5 minutes to make it look like Swerve is a dominant champion.
But Blake, has AEW ever done this? They've never.
It's a mistake, in my opinion.
Yeah, AEW has never really had a squash match. There were a couple times where I don't know if it was Brian Cage, who seems to be Ellis's favorite right now, or somebody else. Maybe it was Wardlow. I think it was Wardlow, where they would have some talent come out and Wardlow would beat the absolute dog shit out of them. But they really don't do this. And I think that's why
Wardlow's
a lot of
the only one I remember them doing it with.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of boys and girls in the back, in the locker room who are appreciative of this because there's a time and a place for it. We saw it with Braun Strowman. I wanted Jack Perry to take on an enhancement talent that was assigned by the Elite. Dustin Rhodes is not enhancement.
Is he?
He's not enhancement, but it was a smart play.
What's Dustin Rhodes done in the last 3 years other than job?
I'm just saying, I think calling Dustin Rhodes enhancement talent is disrespectful.
I love Dustin, but he's a well-paid, high, famous jobber in AEW.
He's not. Again, I disagree.
Tell me the last match he's won. Tell me the last match he's won.
Well, again, we've had this discussion ad nauseum. Wins and losses do not matter in professional wrestling, in my opinion. They don't. It's all about
you have to win a match here and there, or else.
Oh, for sure. But I'm just saying the name jobber or enhancement talent doesn't fit Dustin Rhodes. That's just me. He's a Hall of Famer. I hear you. I understand what you're saying.
He 100% is. I'm not denying any of that. He's had a fantastic career. He's famous. He's a Hall of Famer. But right now, he's a jobber in AEW as a character.
He's there to get other people over. But yes, okay. Dustin Rhodes is not a jobber. We will agree to disagree. Okay. We will agree to disagree on that one. Again, Jack Perry gets into the TNT Championship ladder match on Long Island at the Forbidden Door. I mean, you had a smart ass response to what I put out, which I mean, it's really not a bold prediction, but I mean, Jack Perry's got to win this sucker, right? The Elite's got to all be holding the gold majority of the gold heading into Blood and Guts. Yes.
Yeah. Who gives a shit about Jack Perry if he doesn't win this match?
So they have to execute on this, correct?
That's why I said what you said. That's why I made that comment and said, thanks, fucking Captain Obvious, because I mean, of course Jack's going to win. Jack has to win the match, because if not, Jack is just a jabron again. You're building Jack up.
Could they do something where Darby interferes and costs Jack the title?
I mean, it could, but
because remember, they hung Darby upside down.
It's true. They could, but for me, I think Jack has to win the match hands down. Darby can come out after or whatever and start that feud, but Jack has to win. He's the only member of the Elite that doesn't have gold, doesn't have a title right now. I just think Jack has to win, or else he can go back to New Japan.
I agree. For me, I'm excited for the ladder match. Here was one of the misses I had on AEW. First of all, the match between Mercedes Moné and Zuxius, I believe is how you say it, was fantastic. Mercedes Moné has wrestled a bunch since she's won the TBS Championship, and I am thankful for that. The match was great. Where is Stephanie Vacour? I know we have 3 weeks before the Forbidden Door.
Yeah, but you know what they did do?
They gave you a video package.
Which, for me, helped a lot. Because, like I told you last week, I don't know who the hell Stephanie Vacour is. I know a little bit about her now. Made me care about the match at least a little bit. The Mercedes match was fine, but I didn't give a shit about it because I didn't know who the hell she was wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, Zuxius is Stephanie Vacour's tag team partner, so I understood that.
How am I supposed to know that unless I watch CMLL?
Well, they did put it out there and they did talk about it. Again, I don't
watch Collision.
It's not. It wasn't on Collision. It's on social media.
I don't watch Rampage.
It's not. It was on social media.
Oh, I don't. I do watch social media.
Exactly. I was gonna say. You go ahead. Let's lie. She was also in the Mae Young Classic, but that was 2018, and not a lot of people remember it. I know I didn't. So
I don't remember something last year, let alone 6 years ago.
Exactly. So for me, it was good that AEW, like you said, put together a video package for Stephanie Vacour, kind of telling you who she is, but they've done that already. I need Mercedes and Stephanie to have a little bit of a face-to-face interaction or even a backstage interaction. I
agree with you. I think that would be good. For me, you're right, Jay. I don't watch two-thirds.
Well, now that if you're going to comment, then I'll throw it up there. Blake doesn't watch 2/3 of the show, and then yeah. Well, I mean, there's to Blake's point, there's a lot of wrestling on TV nowadays.
Yeah,
a lot, and not everyone has the time to watch it. But again, to your point, you said this worked for you, which is interesting. I love the video package. I love the video package, and AEW has done that more often now than not. And I think that's a great thing that they're doing. I like that they were showing people arrive, Max arriving, all this other stuff to build pre-hype to the show. It seems like they're borrowing that from, the WCW, WWF, and now the WWE days where they show the men and women walking in and all that other stuff. So I think it's good on them. It's good on them.
No, I thought it was good. And what really worked for me was that Stephanie narrated it. It wasn't
Tony Schiavone
or Excalibur talking 476 words a minute.
Yeah. I agree there. Let's talk about Let's talk about somebody who is leaving All Elite Wrestling, it seems. Jeff Hardy's contract has expired, and everybody and their mother, Matt's already in TNA. They just had a Hardy compound type of match or segment, and it seems like everybody and their mother is clamoring for the Hardy Boys to head back to WWE. I am one of those people right now. Again, love the Hardys, wish them the best, thankful for everything they've done for the industry. Two great dudes. But at the end of the day, I think we're all good. I think I would like to see Matt and Jeff kind of just make whatever they want to do in terms of content. And for me, maybe take on a producer role, but I don't think we need to see one more run in WWE.
No. Listen, the Hardys are great. The Hardys have their place in wrestling, and I respect anybody that wants to keep making money and do what they love to do. But if you're asking me as a wrestling fan, I could give a shit about seeing the Hardys anymore.
And I wish Matt and Jeff, if they get the contract, they'd be stupid not to take it. Go make 100%. Your money and go run. I will never sit here and say anything like that because it would be asinine. If somebody wants you, go take the money and go run. But I think what 100%. You guys did in WWE, WWF will last a lifetime. And your comeback, even I believe it was like 17 or 18, 19, whatever it was fantastic too. We don't need anything else, truthfully. No, we don't.
You're not going to outdo that. I mean, if they go back, they're not going to outdo that moment at WrestleMania 33.
Right. I mean, and that was recent. You know, I know it's 8 years ago, but realistically, that's still recent. Sleeping Angels says, to be honest, they are past their prime, but that's just me. So I'm good with them not coming back to WWE, but I love the Hardy Boys. I think a lot of boys and girls are past their prime, men and women here in the industry, but if they can get the contract, they're going to take it. And they should never turn down the money. Let's do our Clash at the Castle prediction show. We're going to spend the last 20 minutes. That one got you, huh? We're going to spend the last 20 minutes talking about Clash at the Castle. We saw the fans here for the kickoff in Scotland. Tonight's going to be a wild atmosphere for SmackDown. Today, I should say, for some who are watching this live in other countries. But SmackDown live tonight, the crowd's going to be wild. The kickoff show was absolutely wild. There's a lot of people there. WWE continues to be white hot, not only in attendance, but I mean, merchandise and going to other countries and selling the suckers out. They are setting records everywhere they go. Congratulations to them. Love to see everything that they're doing. Let's talk about Clash at the Castle. Let's kick it off with Bayley and Piper. This is a match that I didn't see myself really wanting to invest in. And the past couple of weeks and what we saw this morning, I am fully invested in seeing Bayley and Piper Niven go at each other for the WWE Women's Championship. And it's because Piper's got a lot of shine time on that microphone, and she is showing a lot of her personality, in my opinion. Blake?
Listen, I'm invested in anything Bayley does for various reasons. But as far as, I think it's really cool that Piper's getting to wrestle in Scotland because that's where she's from. I think that's awesome. I think it's great that Triple H did that. But if you're asking me from a wrestling perspective, do I really care? No. But you never have to talk me into a Bayley match for various reasons.
Well, and Jay said same reason as Brutus, and yeah, Blake's definitely talking about the beefcakes, and you'd be an absolute knucklehead not to notice them if you're a man.
Bayley's a great wrestler. It's not just that.
She is a fantastic wrestler, and she's
a role model.
Yeah, she does fantastic work in the ring. But
she juggles too. Apparently, I see on Twitter.
She does yoga.
Oh, hey, okay, getting too far.
Oh, okay. I didn't say what type of yoga. I just said she did yoga. Get your mind out of the gutter. What? All right.
Nothing.
I'm gonna go with Bayley here. I don't think Piper Niven wins the championship.
Piper's not winning. This is, like I said, and I think it's awesome. But this is, hey kid, we're going to Scotland. We're gonna get you a match on the pay-per-view or on the PLE.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Piper Niven was a smart opponent. The hometown crowd's going to be, behind her, and Bayley's going to end up retaining her championship here. Yeah. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre, another hometown guy. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. A lot of people are saying, like Tay, bold prediction, CM Punk will try and cost McIntyre the title again.
Give me the heat, brother.
Only for it to backfire. Chad Gable becomes IC champion. It's about time. And Cody retains the championship. We'll get to that. But a lot of people,
some wild shit going on about Cody.
We're going to save that. We're going to save that for the main event, brother. But I mean, this match.
Drew's closing the show.
Oh yeah, I'm saying our main event will be Cody versus Styles. We'll save that for the end. 100%. Yeah. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest are going on last. I think Drew wins. I do believe that Drew will win this. They'll give the hometown crowd that moment. And what I think happens, Punk's music hits after he wins, or it could be the next night on Raw. And Punk declares himself eligible for the Money in the Bank ladder match in Toronto.
Why is he fighting in Money in the Bank? He couldn't fight in a Royal Rumble without blowing a tricep out.
I think Punk wins the Money in the Bank. That's my bold prediction. I think Drew McIntyre wins this World Heavyweight Championship. I think it's too obvious if Punk cost him the title, although they could go with that.
It's awesome is what it is. It's not obvious. It's all. Give me the heat, brother.
Well, I mean, listen.
Give me Hulk Hogan, 96 NWO style trash in the ring when Punk cost Drew McIntyre the world title.
The match isn't no DQ. I mean, we'd have to finagle it, but I wouldn't hate it if it happened. All I'm saying is I just don't see it. I think Drew McIntyre sends.
I mean, most likely you're right, but for me, if I'm Triple H, Punk's in Glasgow right now, and I'm booking the heat.
You love the heat. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think you do it. You did it once, you could do it again, but realistically, I think what you could do is have
Drew. You can do it 12 more times. He's under contract.
Oh, for sure. I'm just saying, hey, if it's me, have Punk win the Money in the Bank and he calls his shot, and who knows? He could cash in at Money in the Bank. Who knows? Who knows? At the end of the day, we all know who's fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and that's Gunther. So now this is the way to do it.
That's honestly you're getting into honestly why I don't think you have Drew win the title, because Gunther is either winning the title at SummerSlam or Gunther's winning the title at the end of August in Germany. One of those two is happening. Yeah. So I don't think you give Drew the belt for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's honestly why I book it for the atmosphere in the moment, because I think it would be amazing. But that's honestly why I say Drew shouldn't win this match, because he's not going to get a run. He's gonna dump the title again in 6 weeks. Deadpool's in here.
I know. You saw that. I'm not a Marvel or a comic guy, but I know who Deadpool is. Listen, I don't hate the logic there at all. I don't. You're going to drop the title in 6 weeks. I would love to see Priest retain here. I wouldn't mind it. If Punk's the catalyst behind that, if he's the reason, sure, great, fine. Show me how we get there, and then I'll tell you whether I dug it or not. I'm not going to crap on something before I see it. That's just ridiculous. 100%. Let me see what happens. But I think this is the perfect time for Drew to win the championship. And then again, CM Punk be the thorn in his side differently, because he's already done the whole costing him the championship at WrestleMania. We've seen it. So, we could just have Punk win the Money in the Bank.
Punk's not getting the heat and cost the title. I don't want to see Punk tomorrow.
For me, what you could do, though, is you can have Punk call his shot at SummerSlam, and this makes it a triple threat where you have Drew, Punk, and Gunther. And this way, Gunther can walk out with that championship, or Punk could walk out with that championship and drop it to Gunther in Bash at Berlin. Just me. I mean, Damian Priest and Gunther's a great match, but is that SummerSlam 50, 60,000 people worthy?
Maybe if Punk only has to take a third of the bumps in the match, he won't get hurt.
Okay. Heard you. Let's talk about Chad Gable and Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. This match has a lot of steam, a lot of momentum. Everyone is, watching this for obvious reasons. One of them being, is Gable actually going to get the job done? Is Otis going to turn? Blake, I asked you before we pick a winner. Is Otis turning on Chad Gable at Clash at the Castle?
Yes. But it's not.
And what happens?
It's going to be after Chad Gable wins the match.
Ooh, okay. Explain. Let's hear why.
I don't know off the top of my head. You're asking me to just, do this ad lib, but I think something to the effect of, at some point in the match, Gable will want Otis to do something and he doesn't do it, but Chad wins the title anyway, and then he starts berating Otis, and Otis turns on him to get a huge pop in front of the Scottish crowd.
So here's my thought. I think you're right. I think Gable wins the Intercontinental Championship. I don't think the turn happens yet. I think they drag this out to Money in the Bank. I think Otis helps Chad win the championship reluctantly. And then we have another month because it's only like what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before
Otis
we head
is winning Money in the Bank again?
No, I already told you he's winning Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think that
injured.
You're one of those guys.
I am today for some reason.
So I think that Otis helps Gable win the Intercontinental Championship in Scotland at Clash at the Castle. And then we have, because Money in the Bank's 3 weeks away. I might be even less than that, truthfully. Money in the Bank is the 4th of July weekend, so it's about 3-4 weeks away. And then we have Otis and Chad Gable implosion there at Money in the Bank. And we have an Intercontinental Championship match at SummerSlam between Gable and Otis. And that, I think, sells a lot of tickets. Well, I'm not going to say it sells a lot of tickets, but it has a lot of eyeballs on it.
I was about to say, get the fuck out of here.
I think it has a lot of eyeballs on it. It's a match that people will want to see.
I think it's a very intriguing match, but it doesn't sell tickets.
Well,
ain't nobody buying tickets to SummerSlam to go watch Otis. I love Otis. Otis is hilarious. But ain't nobody flying to Cleveland to go watch Otis.
You're just a heat magnet.
I am today. I don't know why. I guess I'm gonna.
It's all right. You could just, you know what? You could just shit on people. Don't. But you know what?
Shit on everybody.
Listen. You're also not somebody who's not going to stand on their business when they come face to face with somebody. I know that for sure. You would say, "Hey, listen, I don't like what was going on." So I hear you. What I think, again, is the implosion of Alpha Academy and the new version of Alpha Academy, I think would probably come into the play either at Money in the Bank or sooner. So I think the implosion of Gable and Otis happens at Money in the Bank. Let's talk a little bit more. Well, I hope so. We both think that Gable's winning the championship. We just have different ways of getting there, but we both think that he's winning the championship.
I think he's winning the championship because he's re-signed a contract. I will say that if he doesn't, that might be a sign that Gable's not re-signed.
I think Gable's re-signed no matter what. No matter what. Jay says it feels like Ted DiBiase and Virgil. Yeah. All right. That's a throwback. Okay. Let's talk about Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill talking women's tag team championship match here against Alba Fry and Isla Dawn and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. I'm going to be quick on this one. Belair and Cargill win, and they continue to win. And Jade is just continuously getting more reps, which I think is good for her career, and her career progressions, because she needs it. She's got the production. She's got the look. She's got everything. Now she just needs to put the in-ring stuff together, and she's learning from one of the best. So I'm keeping the championships on Belair and Cargill. Blake?
They think Jade's a star, and they want to get her on every show. Next.
There we go. Let's talk about our main event, not the main event. I think Drew McIntyre main events here in his home country of Scotland. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. We're going to talk about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles in an I Quit match for the undisputed WWE Championship. We know that Mama Rhodes, bless you, is in the building, or in the country, I should say. Cody put it out on social media. They still have a television. Yeah, huge. Absolute. They put it out on social media. They still have a show to do tonight in Scotland. So everyone's like, well, why didn't they put this out on television? Hey, knuckleheads, they still have a show tonight to do, or today to do. So, I mean, realistically, what are we talking about here? Mama Rhodes is in the building. She's in Scotland. Cody and AJ. Cody asked for this match. He wants an I Quit match. I like it. Gave AJ some attitude, some edge on him as the champion. What do you think of the Mama Rhodes post? And what do you think of this match and Cody asking for it before we pick a winner?
I mean, as far as the match, I think what I've thought the last couple of weeks, which is this was, oh shit, we're going to Scotland. We need to get Cody on the card. He's not really in the middle of anything right now. Let's restart the AJ feud. Let's do the Mark Henry angle for AJ, and let's restart that. That's what I think of the match. The Mama Rhodes thing, I unless The Rock shows up, which he's not, but to talk to Mama Rhodes, I don't like it because it lends to the idea that some are throwing out that Cody's going to lose, which I think is stupid. You have invested this much money in Cody. You do not even temporarily take the belt off of him in 2 months.
I was going to let you finish here, but I find that
he's the new face of WWE.
So
you
what?
wanted Will Ospreay to run with the belt for a fucking year when he wins it. You want Cody to run with it for 2 months?
But Will's not winning it. No, again, Cody losing the championship at Clash at the Castle to regain it at Money in the Bank is not a bad business
We're hot
decision.
potato and shit, Vince Russo style now.
We're not hot potatoing everything. Again, he's a baby face. You watched Who Killed WCW. Nash told you always have the baby face chase. So he chases it again for a month. It puts more emphasis back on him. The fans get what they want. And Cody, I haven't even given you my winner yet, but I'm going with Styles. I think it's easy to do this at Clash at the Castle where Cody has no choice but to quit to save his mom or something else to that effect, or the mother helps, throws in the towel, whatever. What I'm saying to you is that this championship reign is all fine. And Cody is going to walk into SummerSlam as the undisputed champion. There's no doubt about that. But just because we saw a 2.5 or 3 year reign from Roman doesn't mean every championship
Cody's
has to run that. 6 what? 6 years?
Yes.
Where? At the Pen?
Whoa. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? 6 years? Where?
No, I'm just messing around. For me, like AJ's great. I don't want to come off like I don't think I just don't care. Kind of similar to the Hardys. I don't care about seeing AJ do anything that significant. And I don't want to see Cody drop the title and then win it 3 weeks later. I don't like that.
I mean,
he doesn't have to hold it for 3 years, but I don't want to see him hot potato it every 3 weeks either.
All right. What I'm saying is I'm not laughing at what you said. I'm laughing at like the whole sentiment that Cody does. If he drops it, it's a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. The championships are not, the titles don't make the man. Okay. So, or the woman. So what I'm saying here is that Cody is he's Dusty's kid, and Triple H is a Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair fan. This whole thing was pre-planned. The trilogy is happening between AJ and Cody. Now, you could beat AJ again, but then who gives a shit about the third match? Am I wrong? Who cares? Who cares?
AJ can have AJ beat up Mama Rhodes.
But what I'm saying is, let's just say Xia Li or whomever else.
AJ beats up Mama Rhodes, then Cody wants another match.
I don't think they're going to have man on woman beat down on national television.
What if AJ Styles clashes Mama Rhodes in Scotland?
I don't think that's going to happen.
What
I will say to you, what happens if one of the female talents that's really associated with AJ Styles, who was kind of reintroduced back into that faction, makes Mama Rhodes bleed, and we have a first blood match at Money in the Bank for the WWE Championship, and Cody says here in Scotland, I quit because of what's going on with his mom. Would that make you invested?
I mean,
and I'm not saying this is happening.
I guess invested in the feud, yes. I just don't like the idea of Cody dropping the title already. That's very, like I said, it's very Vince Russo style.
All right. Well, again, I think Triple H, and I think this was
shit on Vince Russo last night, so you shouldn't like it.
Vince Russo did so many things besides hot potatoing world championships. I mean, Vince did the same thing. Vince would put championships and he'd hot potato it. I mean, Mick Foley held the championship for like 14 days. It's all about like a thing, a moment. And this makes a lot of sense. AJ Styles.
Why are you going to have your moment with Drew? Why do you need a moment with Cody?
But according to you, we're not having the moment with Drew.
Oh, you're having a moment. It's just not that moment.
Oh, got it. So again, I think this is all pre-planned. The AJ Styles Cody Rhodes trilogy was in the books. It was in the works. And from what I'm seeing, it seems very much like Flair, Steamboat, Dusty, Flair, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to have their 3 matches. It could be a potential blow off in the cage or a first blood match. They're already giving you the I Quit match. And I think AJ Styles will win the championship for a month, only to hand it back to Cody Rhodes, who ends up carrying that championship either through the Rumble or to WrestleMania after he wins it back at Money in the Bank. That's my prediction.
Do you think that maybe as a component of AJ agreeing to start juicing that they agreed to give him the title?
I have no idea what you're talking about. AJ Styles is on some fantastic vitamins. He looks damn good.
Yeah.
All those cold plunges. I mean, I cold plunge every day, and I don't have the muscles that AJ does.
Let me tell you, if cold plunge makes me put on 20 pounds of muscle and look jacked, I'm in.
Nah, it's probably the diet.
Yeah.
And the vitamins.
And the roids.
I will tell you this. I don't think that anybody in WWE is getting away with using performance-enhancing drugs nowadays. So
I don't know. Randy Orton's about 310 right now. Jacked.
Randy's not 310. Ellis says, yo, if AJ doesn't beat up Mama Rhodes, the entire PLE now is garbage. I don't want it. I can guarantee you that no man is putting his hands on any woman on this show. So I guess, Ellis, you will be amongst people that think this show is garbage.
I do kind of want to see Mama Rhodes get Styles Clash now that I said it out loud.
I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. All right. Well, we've done our Clash at the Castle predictions. Are you going with Cody here to retain?
Yeah, because I'm not picking the same thing you did.
Okay. I am going to go with AJ Styles. I just had a Georgia number call me, so might be in a lot of trouble.
The only way I am okay with AJ winning the title is if he Styles clashes Mama Rhodes.
That's not happening. Not happening. It's just not happening.
Think of the heat, brother. I'm booking so much heat on this show.
Oh, all right. Anybody have a question? Throw it in there. We'll answer it in the order they are received. We got a couple minutes here. We got about 3 more minutes. Let's talk about what Bully Ray said. Bully Ray said about a match that he would like to see at the Forbidden Door. And he said, you know what they did most importantly? They sold me about Roosh and MJF. I wanted to buy Forbidden Door, just what I saw from Roosh and Max tonight. I'm going to go out on a limb here, a strong limb. I would be more excited for Max versus Roosh than I have been for any other Max match in AEW. I'm wondering if they're going to do next week, which means they're going to have a stipulation added. So interesting. I think Bully's under the same preface that we are.
I think he's lying there. That might be a little far, but other than that, yeah. It's not the best thing they've done. That might be a little far.
Yeah.
But it's the best thing they've done for the indoor lead up, but it's far from the best thing they've done. But hey, Bully's Bully.
I'm going to bring up a topic here. Let's talk about Liv and Dom. I thought the Liv and Dom segments on Monday Night Raw were fantastic. They were spicy. I thought the Judgment Day really, really held Raw together with a ton of the segments that they had both in and outside of the ring. The backstage segments were all comical. And then again, the spicy segments with Liv and Dom, and then the Damian Priest match to end the show. I mean, everything was just fantastic. Or excuse me, the Finn Balor match to end the show. Everything was just fantastic. I thought the Judgment Day really shined here on Monday Night Raw, and it's good to see them back in that position. But let's talk about Liv and Dom. I mean, that was, listen, it ain't for the kids, but it was for me. I enjoyed it. I had to tell my kid to go to bed. I was like, hey, you can't watch this stuff. You got to go to bed. And that's the first time I've said that in a while with WWE. They didn't push it, but it was damn near close. When Liv said you should find somebody to call you daddy, I was like, I didn't want to have to tell my 7, what does that mean, daddy? Like, and I would just be like, listen, there's 4 of you in this house that call me daddy, and only one of them
different
is
kind,
one I get. Right. Only one of them gets me excited, but that's about it. I'm only kidding.
She don't call you that. She don't call you that.
I mean, I'll FaceTime her right now. She'll call me daddy when she answers. What's up, daddy? I'm just kidding.
Okay, do it.
Okay. I don't know if my wife wants to be on camera, though. I better text her first.
As long as I can hear her voice. No, because you're going to text her and tell her to say it. That doesn't count. You got to go blind if you're going to do this live on air.
What do you think? What did you think of this stuff?
I thought it was great. I mean, Dom's the man. I mean, between Rhea and now Liv, I never thought I'd be jealous of Dominic Mysterio, but damn it, I'm jealous of Dominic Mysterio. And I mean, Liv, trying to be nice here, but Liv,
say it.
Liv can give me her hotel room key anytime she wants.
I don't think you're in the minority in that one.
I will tell you a very underrated part of the Finn Balor match in the show was my man McAfee doing ring announcing. Because he called Drew McIntyre a big, handsome son of a bitch. And he said Finn Balor was representing the bum-ass Judgment Day. So
I liked it. I liked Pat.
I loved it. I thought Pat was great.
I absolutely dug it. I thought Pat filled in very well, and I thought it added a little thing to that for me, at least. I dug it.
I did too.
What'd you think of Raw?
I mean, Liv kind of half showed her ass when she fell on straddle Dom. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Good stuff all around. Good stuff all around. This was good stuff all around. Blake, I appreciate you joining me today here on FBM Live, as you do every Friday.
It's not for the kids, this show.
No, it was definitely not for the kids. This show or Raw was really not for the kids, but that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes wrestling ain't for the kids.
Adult content.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes. Where can everyone like, subscribe, and follow you, buddy?
My Twitter handle is on the screen there. It's just my name, just Blake Mitchmore.
There you go. It's at Blake Mitchmore.
Mad at this back in the day.
Yeah, I am at Andrew Baydala. That is at Blake Mitchmore. Make sure you follow Final Bell Media. Hit that like, subscribe, and follow button. We are live on Thursdays for Who Killed WCW, our review show, which will eventually turn into a weekly Thursday show. And we are live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern for FBM Live. This was a blast. I'd like to thank Jay. I'd like to thank Steven. Yeah.
Before we go off the air, I watched the WCW show last night.
Yeah. All right. Let's get your take on it real quick. Got a couple seconds.
No. I have a question for you real quick.
Sure.
Is the guy that you were on the show with, is that the Shocked Undertaker guy?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
What?
KPIs, really? Brother. KPIs, brother. KPIs.
Oh, wow. It looked like him, but he wouldn't do the face, so I didn't know.
Wow. Yeah. I guess you have to ask him.
What
do you think of the WCW?
Maybe if I do a show with him one day, maybe he'll do the face for me. Who knows? I thought it was a lot better than the second episode. I mean, I think anybody that's trying to draw conclusions of it's Eric Bischoff, it's Kevin Nash, it's this, it's that, as to what Thunder, spoiler alert, the answer is it's about 15 different things.
Well, and you know what? I think this is good that you brought this up real quick. Let's talk about this. The book, Nitro, by Guy Evans, paints Eric Bischoff in a very positive light for the most part. And this 4-part miniseries is also painting Eric, as we've seen right now, in a very positive light as well. It's very strange how a lot of people on social media and how when you watch this are manipulated into believing a certain thing because of how Vice or somebody else puts it out. I mean, realistically, Eric's not fully to blame for all of this, but Eric handed out a ton of contracts for a ton of cash. Don't get me wrong. Turner has a lot of blame for this as well. Turner gutted Warner Media, gutted Eric Bischoff when they told him that he was under investigation for embezzlement. But it's just it's comical to see me and listen to people talk about how Bischoff this and Bischoff that. Yeah, Eric's a very good businessman, but the narrative here is the same narrative that it was in the Nitro book for the most part.
It is, but I also agree with that narrative. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Eric made mistakes. He gave people like Hogan way too much control. There were, I think you could say the Bret Hart contract was a big mistake because of the way they used him and what they paid him.
The handing Nash the book. Here you go. It's my wife. She heard me. I won't do it though.
Whatever. She wouldn't say it. But I do think Eric is far from the top blame. Eric, and the big thing is with Eric is you can say Eric did this, Eric did that, Eric did this. If Eric didn't do what he did, they never got there. Eric's also the reason they got where they are.
Wait till you see, you read the Nitro book, and wait till you see episode 4, because I think Eric and his partners, when they tried to buy WCW, which was going to happen, really fucked that deal up. And they'll talk about it, I'm sure. I don't know if the Nitro book talks about it. I read it twice. I'd have to go back and reread it.
Listen,
but when Eric,
what I know about that, nobody fucked that deal up but Turner, because Eric offered him $70 million or whatever, and they turned it down because they wouldn't give him the TV rights. I want to say 65 was the offer.
Yeah, there was a lot. There's some other stuff that went into that, but I'm not solely blaming him.
You don't like Eric Bischoff.
No, I love Eric. I have a lot of respect for Eric. I have no problem with Eric.
An immense amount of respect.
But what I'm saying to you is that Eric is not this, you can't just escape Eric from here. You can't.
I don't think they're trying to escape Eric. I think what they're doing is painting the narrative, and it is Eric's narrative, but like I said, I personally believe it's the truth. Eric has some blame. Eric made some mistakes, but there's a lot of other shit that happened that was out of Eric's control.
So this is in the Nitro book. Here is the clause that Eric Bischoff and Fusient Media put into the clause here, which is why the deal didn't go through. And for a lot of people that don't want to blame Eric, fine. But Eric said that he and the media company inserted a clause in their purchase agreement that even if WCW got canceled months later, that they would retain the right to a program slot on TBS with whatever they wanted. That was never going to be agreed upon. They got greedy.
That's not the reason that's not the sole reason the deal can't. You don't turn down $65 million over that.
Dude, the clause in the contract says they could put whatever they want in there. They could have put dogs racing, or they could have put like a kids program there. TBS was never going to agree with that. Never. Prime time. Dog racing. It's just, I mean, come on. But that'll be in episode 4.
I think I think you have an agenda with Eric.
No, I have agendas with nobody. I just call it like I see it. And a lot of people are easily manipulated and sometimes full of shit. But what I will say is that Eric is not the sole to blame for who killed WCW, but he's a major part.
See, I disagree with a major part.
Well,
I think he has blame, but I think, to me, the management at Turner is the biggest reason.
100%. 100%. But handing the book to Kevin Nash and stepping out of doing what he did so well was, in my opinion, a giant mistake.
Yeah, but if you also listen to Eric talk, Eric also talks like him. I mean, Dusty booked a lot of it for him. I mean, Eric didn't book hardly anything but the NWO. He just had final say on everything. He wasn't Vince that booked every single thing.
But let me ask you.
He wasn't booking Mortis versus Glacier.
Let me ask you a question, though. When you go back and you watch WCW, yeah, everyone loved the Luchadors, and we were introduced to them and Benoit and everything else like that, which was an Eric Bischoff idea because he saw it in ECW and he saw it overseas. But what was the thing that you always remember? It was the main event talent in the NWO, right? And Eric was very hands-on with that. The what? Dungeon of Doom? All right, let's get out of here. That's Blake Mitchmore. I'm Andrew Badal. Thank you very much.
I'm a big shark guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
What was Earthquake going by then?
Shark, bro.
It was just Shark.
Might have been the Shark, but it was something shark related.
Interesting. Genius.
Juice will know.
Genius. Juice would know. I think Ellis is mad at your Shocked Undertaker guy stuff, but Jay says must be so annoying to being known for that. He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
He loves it when I talk about it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Andrew Badal. That's Blake Mitchmore. This has been FBM Live here for the 14th of June. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and follow button. Make sure you hit the notifications, turn them on so that when we go live, you could see it. Enjoy your Friday. Thank you very much, guys. We always appreciate it. Blake, any words before you get out of here?